Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. It is Wednesday. It is midnight here in Central Europe. It is, I have no idea, earlier in America. It is camera and flask time. Welcome, one and all. Gentlemen, how are we this evening or this afternoon?
I'm okay. I'm here and I'm working.
You're looking nautical. I don't know. You look like you're just. I'm not used to you wearing white. I'm slightly thrown by it. You look very smart. It's very daft. I like it. But that's exactly what I was thinking. He's got his little shorts on, his deck sandals.
I may not be wearing anything below the waist. You never know. But the point is that it's going to get cold here in Oregon soon. And so I figured, why not brighten it up? It's going to be dark clothes from here on out. I have no idea what I'm talking about, but I'm doing all right. How are you, gentlemen?
Good.
Good. Got my teeth whitened today.
Oh, wow.
Oh, nice.
Don't hurt.
Wow.
I'm going to keep my mouth. Well, Ben and I are going to keep our mouths shut because we're British. Thank you for that. And it's going to be even worse now with the white shirt.
I know. Yeah. So talk me through what happens with teeth whitening. I'm interested.
They don't have that in Great Britain.
It's an awful experience that I probably will never do again, but I wanted to try it. So my teeth weren't super bad. I was like, So essentially, it's a multi-hour process. You can do it at home, or you can just get it done. So I just went hardcore mode. They put you in a chair, and they put this device. It's like the cone of shame for dogs, but inside your mouth.
Get the F out of here. For reals? What? No, they did not.
Yep, it keeps your lips like way out here. So just your teeth are exposed. Then they stuff gauze everywhere. Then they pour. I probably lost a year of
battery acid
life and living. Yeah, they pour this stuff in there, and then they sculpt it around your teeth, and then put this blue laser on it, and it hardens, so that my wife took a picture of it. I didn't take a picture of it, but she also had it done today. Took a picture of it, and it's literally all you see is teeth. They completely cover everything else, so the stuff they put on doesn't get on your gums. And then they do 4 15-minute sessions of this insane chemical gel that eats everything down to your teeth. And then meanwhile, they have this giant blue light UV thing pointed at your mouth. And so the whole thing took me about 2.5 hours.
How the hell are you supposed to do this
super white? Home? I mean, here's Apple AirPods.
Wait a second. Can we hold on. Can I just do something really quickly? I'm going to switch over to you, Caleb. So I'm going to do it.
We don't have to make this a whole thing.
All right, here, go ahead.
Have you not got a color chart?
Let's see.
Let me see. Chart?
Can we see?
Oh no.
Can we get it? Can you look? No, hold on. Can you look to your left? I want you to look to your left with your mouth closed, and I want you to turn to camera and then just give us a smile. Let's do it. And oh my goodness! You know what I saw? I saw like a little ding over there. It was amazing.
Oh,
yeah. I just saw that little effect.
I like the expression. It was nearly as good as the expression you have on the still that you have for this week's video about your amazing atom case. Yeah, that's amazing. I've never seen you looking so smug. It's brilliant. And deservedly so. That video is amazing. That whole thing is amazing.
That thumbnail, the story behind that was the only thumbnail that I liked the lighting on the case. So I was like, whatever. Weird, kind of like creepy, like, hey, face.
One day I'm going to have one of those for this. Maybe that would insulate this A10 Mini. And
stop your audio.
In the winter. I was going to ask you for hit me with your address. So I'll ship that bad boy out.
Let's do it.
Anyway, long story short, teeth hurt like crazy, but I'm looking forward to, regardless, pouring
some alcohol on them.
Whiskey in my mouth. Yeah.
Well, on that front, let's get to that part of the show. Well, let's start with you then, Caleb.
Okay.
What are you going to be dulling your teeth with?
Crazy times here in Caleb's life. This is the second or third time, I think only second, that I'll be opening a bottle. So we're doing Woodford Reserve. Come on.
Teetotaler. Teetotaler
There we
over
go.
here. There we go.
And the rye. So.
So you're on the rye kick lately. You're on a rye kick.
I'm ryeing it up.
So Ben,
what
I'm
did you do
gonna.
last week?
Ben,
wild turkey rye.
We're going blank screen here. I'm actually setting us up. It's all a mess right now. I'm just gonna do singles. I'm just doing singles. I'm making stuff up as we're going along. Here, let's do.
All right.
Let's do.
Are you in a position to show us what you're drinking, or do we need to move on to something else right now?
Don't be snotty. Come on, that's not very nice.
I'm not being. I'm
just trying to handle this. Come on, I'm just trying to handle this. Okay.
Okay.
I'm actually going to go a little bit different. I'm going to contrast the white shirt today, and I'm going to actually have some wine. This is nice. From a local winery called Brooks. They're actually on my hill. This is kind of their gateway drug. It's called Runaway Red. It's not expensive. It's about $17 a bottle. It's a Pinot Noir. It's a blend, and it's very nice. It's just an easy drinking. Like, if you had 6 of these in the house and you had people over, you could just serve that during the evening, and nobody would be offended. So I'm going to have Runaway Red from Brooks Winery in my area. Okay, what do we got, Ben?
Nice. Okay, so this week for me is a significant drink. So obviously I don't normally drink beer because it's not great for sleeping, but I am going to tonight. Obviously,
we know why.
UK we drink pints. That's kind of our thing. The UK, we drink pints. So in our lifetimes we drink huge numbers of pints, but there are certain significant ones, certain special pints. The first pint that you buy, your first legal beer in the pub, that's a special pint. Yes. The pint that you have when you're wetting your baby's head, when your kids are born, when you're toasting loved ones that are no longer with us, special pints. And for me, special pints are nearly always Guinness. So tonight I am going to have a Guinness. This is a really special one because this week, 2 days ago, I officially became a citizen of the Republic of Ireland. And I am now officially Irish. So, and also I have not had a drink. Thank you. So I have not had a drink since this became official. So I'm sharing this with you. This is a seriously special pint. And let us know what you're drinking as well.
Oh my goodness.
And there he is. Yeah, he's back in the EU. He got out of Brexit, and he's back in the EU. Congratulations, Ben.
Right.
And I think I might be next because I had an Irish grandfather, so it might be the only way unless Scotland does its thing. All right, kiddos. Yeah. Cheers.
All right.
Cheers.
I should wait for this to settle, but slancha. I can't tell you how hard it was to find cans of Guinness for sale in the Czech Republic. I was driving around all the supermarkets today.
And that has nitro in it, right? Those are the nitro cans.
I was just going to say, you did it right. You got the can.
Yeah, I don't think the bottles are the way to go. Yeah. You got to get the cans. When you're buying Guinness and you're bringing it home, you got to get in the cans.
No.
That's the way we do it over here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice. What do we got for really drinks?
I haven't had a Guinness for ages, so.
All right. Harrison's having the Sierra Nevada Oktoberfest. Bombay Sapphire Gin with raspberry lime seltzer. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds good.
What does this mean? Really what do you switch this on, Jem? What's Kit's at? Cat? What is that question, Kit? Tell me what does it mean.
He's asking about the item. He's asking.
No. I'm just using Ecamm Live. Ecamm Live lets you set up scenes, and I was just kind of setting them up live, so we can go boom, boom. We can see Caleb's pearly whites, and then we can do a 2-up. I don't know. Oh, hey Ben, and then that was when Ben and I were doing the show together. And look, his name is Ben Barden. We have fun stuff over here at Ecamm Live. I don't know, whatever.
Amazing.
Amazing.
Also, fun side note before one last interruption. We're each drinking a completely different category of alcohol.
Brilliant.
Beer, whiskey, wine. I don't know if that's ever happened before. So, cheers to us.
I don't think it hasn't happened ever, has it?
I don't think it has, and it would be a hell of a hangover if we were mixing those three. But
yeah, right.
Yeah. Thank you, Kit. I appreciate
it
that.
has been done.
Good.
Yes. All right. Cool. So this week we are talking about tech, craft, and creativity, and what we think they mean. So this seemed like quite an easy one, and then I started having a think about it after you posted this, Gem, and it's a little broader than it would first appear. So I'm going to start with you, seeing as this was your idea, which is a good one.
Sake.
What are those? What do you think those three things? What do they mean to you?
Am I answering? I mean,
In,
one
in
of the
real
things that we wanted.
terms.
Yeah.
No, like a basic definition of each of those three things to start with.
All three of them, not one at a time. Okay, good. All right, that's fine. And
All right,
then
well, you can do one at a time. I don't mind.
no. I'm just saying. I'm just gonna now. I have to We didn't.
Maybe your
talk
idea is
about
better.
it.
Well, otherwise the show's going to be over in like 4 minutes. So
Well, it's not really though. Wasn't the idea that we wanted to get the chat more involved anyway? So
definitely we want to get the chat more involved. So this is an open question to all of you, and please do just keep up and get involved this week.
I mean, for me, when we talk about the tech side of things, it's the nuts and bolts of the operation of equipment. So it's an understanding, but I think it goes deeper than that. Yes, you need to know how to turn it on and off. You need to know what each knob does, but I think there has to be a deeper understanding of the choices you make, especially when it comes to cameras and lights nowadays, as far as what happens to your recorded image when you make changes within those two devices. So if you are using a particular type of light and lighting technology, how does that affect the captured image from your camera? And that might be different for the different camera. But the cameras now, of course, it's not like it used to be where you were either recording on tape or digitally and you were really just sort of in a Rec 709 world. Nowadays when we pick up a camera, even if it's a $750 to $1,000 camera, there's options inside of that camera that have to do with dynamic range and gamma and gamuts and things like that, which could have a dramatic impact on what you can do with that image and also what it'll look like when it's captured. So to me, tech is nuts and bolts, but it's also a deeper understanding of how to operate a piece of equipment, but also what the result of that operation is going to be. So I kind of think of tech as that side of things. And it, of course, translates to the post side of what we do as well in terms of understanding the relationship between production and post and how to operate a particular piece of software and the configuration of your system and things like that. I guess that's my definition of tech. Yeah.
All right. Anything to add to that, Caleb? Or does that more or less cover it?
Yeah. I the way I thought of it in a couple sentences is tech is the tools and obviously the technology, the physical hardware, the software, the knowledge, the head knowledge. Craft is implementation of all that. So lighting. How do you take these tools, this tech, these lights, and turn it into something? And then creativity is the problem solving, the having to take an idea like sell blue shoes and turn it into a final product. Anyway,
that's interesting that you said problem solving for that part of it, because I always put that in like a fourth category as sort of the insanity of what we do for a living. And the problem
I feel
solving,
like creativity is, it's coming up with all the hard stuff. That's the hardest one, right? And if you look at YouTube, in the order of the title of this video, I believe that's the importance according to what we all care about. We're all like crazy about cameras and lenses and gear, craft, take it or leave it, and then like creativity. You know what I mean? Like according, like we're all gear. in the YouTube space, or everyone's like crazy about all the stuff that really doesn't matter as much. You know, if you flip that around, I think
Right.
all of those people are the people in Hollywood doing the big stuff. Like you need a little bit of everything, but importance is if you're a problem solver, if you're able to take the most mundane of ideas and create something amazing in your head, craft is a little less important, but still important, and then tech is even less important, right?
Right. That's interesting that you see it
Right.
that way, because for
Sure.
me,
It's it's kind of the
Yeah.
trinity of those three, but it's go on, sorry.
no, I'm just thinking about it from that standpoint, and also your perception of it
I've
from
got
that
some
standpoint
weird
when it
crazy
comes to
delay
the three.
going on here. So it's a little-
You do? Do you have a delay, Caleb?
Say 3, 2, 1, and I'll say
3,
you said
2, 1.
1.
No.
3, 2, 1.
1. I think you and I are right on. Jim or Ben might be
You
a
have to
little
go
behind. I don't
slower.
know.
You can't just like spring it on us. You have to
Ready?
count
Right,
down
right.
slowly. Look.
When
3,
I'm holding up one
2,
finger,
yeah.
say 1.
1.
1.
I did that on purpose.
Look at
I'm
you.
sorry.
I
know
you
you did that on
assholes. Anyways,
All right. No, what I was saying is I think it's interesting that you said that in terms of a perception, because when I think about what I do for a living outside of maybe what the perception is of what I do on YouTube, and I talk about equipment so much, I really feel like what I think about all of the time is craft and creativity. And I'm so much less concerned about and thinking about the technical side of things at this point. When I pick up a camera, I've got to figure out where those settings are, and sometimes I have to figure out how to teach people how to use those settings, but I don't think about them that much. But I think that when we talk about what I do here and News Shooter and everything, that's all we're talking about, is we talk about the tech, we talk about features, we talk about specs. But when I'm not doing that, it's always about problem solving and creativity. Not necessarily to the level of somebody who's making feature films. I think that that's a whole different level, but I do think that those are the things that I'm dealing with on a day in and day out basis, which is really interesting in terms of what might be the difference between people and other people's perceptions of them when they're online, depending on what they're talking about, and then maybe even what they think about or do outside of that. I don't know. Maybe that's my problem, is that I have such a tech focus on things, but really I'm so much more interested on, for instance, the craft of lighting and what that is. So, yeah.
Well,
right.
I think that's an
comment
interesting thing as well. So in terms of your client stuff, like their importance of those three things to you. You get the work because someone's seen what you do, and it's the creativity. That's the thing that's getting you the work. But to then realize that vision that you've had in the creative, but you need to know the craft to do it. And really the tech, no one gives a shit about. You could still have produced that on kind of any old, not anything, but you know what I mean, a multitude of cameras. Yet we're all focused all the time on how much money have I got coming in this month? What is it? Should I upgrade this camera now? The whole thing with the C70 and the C200 thing, and I'm going, should I buy? Is that a good thing? Should I do this now? Is that gonna? But if you upgrading that makes fuck all difference to any of my clients. No one gives a shit about that. To me, there are certain creative things, particularly with the high frame rates and stuff that would allow you to do. But really, it's the creativity first, the craft, knowing how to then make that happen, and the tech's really arse about tit with the way we think about it, I think.
Yeah. Well, I think the best stuff that we love when we look at things really come from a team of people who, especially when we talk about narrative stuff, what they're doing is they're taking a script, they're dreaming what that script's going to be, which is all creative. It has nothing to do initially with the technical side of it, right? You have a script for a movie, and what you're doing is a director's job is to dream that script. They look at that and they process it, and they have a vision for what that's going to be. And then what they do is they find the right people, or they have other people help them find the right people, depending on where they are in their career, that are going to help them visualize this dream that they have of that script. That's what they're basically doing. So at that point, you're trying to find people who, yes, understand, and know the tech side of it, but it's really their craft and then their contribution to the creativity or the artistic side, which is what makes the difference between us watching a movie that just blows us away, that also has great story, and that doesn't. So I think that they do all go in hand. You can't make a great film right now without having at least a handful of people who are on set who know the tech side of things. Probably most of the great cinematographers have, as a base knowledge, a very good understanding of not only cameras and lighting and composition, but also how they want to approach camera movement. But it doesn't mean that every cinematographer has to be a great technician. But they do have to be able to help realize and have the people around them. Annie Leibovitz is a perfect example. She's one of, and considered one of our great photographers, but apparently she's not really technically minded. But she has a very clear vision of what she wants to do, and she surrounds herself with a team of people who know the tech side of helping her realize, and she does know how she wants to light. She just doesn't necessarily have to know exactly how to operate that piece of equipment. Would you guys agree? Because to me, craft is sort of like it's the doingness of it. The artistic part is the creativity part, but the craft is the doingness. If I place a light here and another one here, and I modify it a certain way, I'm going to get a certain result. Part of that is technical, because you have to have the numbers there, but the craft is that doingness, and I don't know if that's the way other people look at it, but that's the way I look at it.
Craft is the verb. Tech is the noun, and I never was great at grammar. Yeah, creativity is the.
Oh, you were going so well.
It's the art.
Pass.
It is.
I know.
I like it.
It all fell apart.
I'm with you, Caleb. I'm in your camp when it comes to that. I mean, when you think about your day-to-day stuff that you're doing, Caleb, in the studio and stuff, I mean, part of it is coming up with ideas and things like that. Right. But is what drives you to make those videos is not necessarily that you're interested in the technology. You're very much a problem solver. If you look at a lot of the content you've created in the last year or two, your one desk setups, the thing you just did with the Mini, all of this is incredibly creative that is surrounded around tech. But what you're doing is you're creating content that has problem solving, it has creativity. The end result is something that's potentially a better tool for people. How do you what's going through your mind when you're creating that kind of stuff?
I mean, it's just like all the stuff we're talking about in any production. My favorite part is the creativity part, which is everything that happens before any record button's pressed.
Right.
So like that project that I just posted today, that was months and months, and I didn't actually spend work hours doing that because I knew it was going to be a beast. So I actually, got up at like 5 every day, and 5 to 7:30 worked on that thing. But that's my favorite part of every video. I'd almost like the idea of just handing off the actual filming to some other person. I still enjoy it, but not nearly as much as the coming up with a really difficult problem and solving it. I really enjoy it. So I'm working on another one. I'll give you guys a little tease. It's going to be another ultimate whatever video, and it's going to be an entire YouTube or live streaming setup in one Pelican case. So literally, you put a case on the table, you flip the lid up, you press a button, and you shoot a video.
What?
But I'm in the early stages of that. So like that process I love, of like blank piece of paper. Okay, what does this look like? Where does the camera go? How am I going to deal with lighting? Can I even do lighting in a case? How is it going to power? Is it going to be too heavy? All of that stuff I absolutely love. And then, coming up with shots for everything, figuring out, and the hardest, I feel like you can make an amazing living. I'm not saying I make like, Jeff Bezos money, but I feel like if you can learn to take something complex, and communicate it to somebody clearly and concisely, you'll never run out of work.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a great exercise for everybody. One thing I hated in high school, I was homeschooled, and one thing my mom had us do one entire summer, every day for a whole summer, was write a 5-paragraph essay on the topic of her choice. And she picked these awful things to write about, and they had to be a certain word count. So she'd pick something on like spoons, and we had to write a 5-paragraph essay on spoons. So exercises like that, I think, is really, really great.
Yeah.
Long story short, yeah. And then the craft is actually making the thing or filming it, which is a whole other deal. And then, yeah, the creativity is my favorite. And then the technical is kind of weird for me because it's mixed in. And that's why I hate camera reviews. It's like unfun and hard work for me to do a camera review because it's tons of specs, memorizing everything, it's just boring to me, especially now that like everything's so good. It's like back in the day there would be one camera or figuring out a way to make awful cameras work, but now it's like they're all great.
Yeah, I'm going to call you out because I think that first comment you made isn't necessarily accurate, because I think that knowing you and knowing Ben, that we're actually more skewed towards the creativity and craft side of things than we are to the tech side, even though that's the fun stuff to talk about when you're doing things like this, because it can get a little cerebral, and it doesn't necessarily make for good chatter and for good chat comments. But when it boils down to it, I'm never thinking about the specs of a piece of equipment when I'm thinking about creating a video or creating content, ever. Like, I just walk up to the camera and then I have to figure out what my settings are going to be, and that's when the tech comes into play. And I think that Harrison has a good comment here, which I'm going to actually add. Why not? It's a big one. I have always felt, will it fit? Yeah, it will. I have always felt that you can teach tech to anyone, but the craft and creativity can only be learned from doing. Tech is easy. It takes a lifetime to master the rest. So I think that's a good way to put it. I think that's pretty cool. So yeah.
I think, and I go further with that, is in that I would say that the tech is pretty easy. Exactly, agree completely. And I would say that the craft, definitely, you just got to put the legwork into that. You can learn that by doing. The creative, something that where that comes from. I'm not, like, to an extent you can learn that, but
some people just don't.
Another degree,
I think some people never get it.
Exactly, you just don't have it. It's awful to say.
Yeah, but I'm going to say this. I'm going to say, both as a kid.
I agree completely. Just for 1 second,
yeah, okay.
I'm going to hang up and come back in because I'm getting such a horrible delay. I can hardly hear you. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, which we're not hearing. So I'm going to say this, which I think, APS Colombian is kind of also agreeing with. I don't always think that the tech is easy. And I have 2 examples for myself in my life where that's not easy. I'm going to let Ben back in. Hold on. There he is, having a drink of probably vodka. We have no idea. One. So I don't think that the tech is always easy, because there's 2 times in my life where that really came into play. When I first started learning photography, while that's very easy for some people, I had a really hard time understanding the triangle, and I felt like I could operate a camera, I could take photographs, I could get into the darkroom when I learned the process of developing film and making prints and using an enlarger, but I really didn't understand how to use a camera. And I didn't really understand how to use a camera until the 5D Mark II came out. That's when it all came together, because I'd been using video cameras. And I felt very much the same way with NLEs, with nonlinear editors. The first time I sat down as a producer in post-production and I looked at what people were doing in an NLE, I just couldn't get it. It was a brick wall for years and years and years. So I think that, each of us have those places where we have our barriers and things that we have to break through. But I don't think tech is always easy. And I think that's different for different people. And then once you start to learn it, for me, it was the craft part of it that allowed me to learn the tech better, I think. Like the doingness of it, as opposed to just numbers on a piece of paper. And I was always bad at math, so I don't know. And apparently I'm trolling you, Caleb. I don't know how, but I apologize.
About the counting the 3, 2, 1 thing.
Oh, that's why. Okay, sorry.
At least they thought so. I don't know.
Okay, fine. Maybe that's what it was. Yeah. I don't know, though. I think the technology is one of those things that you were saying that we're all just kind of interested in. In terms of when I was saying easy, I think it's just because it's something that we're all obsessed with. So therefore, that kind of obsession becomes like almost subconsciously that knowledge goes in about that stuff. And it's, I think,
yeah,
for me, that's the thing that it takes the least amount of my head space to get my head around, I think.
Yeah. I wonder if it's because for those who are heavy into craft and the creativity is we get very excited about the idea and the concept that these tools will make those parts easier. Not necessarily creativity, but to an extent, but for sure craft. If like when I got started, you guys obviously have had a ton of experience. I'm 10 years into this, not even professionally, but I started with those like 300-watt bulbs. Like that was it. 300-watt bulbs. I didn't have enough money for an Airy kit of lights, the kit that everyone got, and we rented all the time. The 2 650s and 2 300s or whatever it is. So I had those 300-watt nasty bulbs that went into clamp lights. There it is. It's a miracle I didn't start more fires because I'm sure my electrical was atrocious. Actually, you can find it on my channel now. There's a video where I'm using aluminum foil as black wrap because I spent like every penny I had.
Amazing.
And people are like, dude, don't do that because you're creating like a fire hazard because aluminum foil burns and it gets really hot. So there were no Aperture 120Ds. There was no money for an Aperture 120D, even if it existed. But the tools or the tech, when they are more awesome, they make the craft easier. So dealing with those old Airy kits, or even worse, a clamp light with a 300-watt bulb, it takes a lot of finesse to get that into a really good key. And it's going to look like you can't because there's not enough output. Whereas a 120D, you throw a big softbox on it and you're most of the way there.
Yeah.
It's easier. So you can move on to, creativity. So maybe that's why we get more excited about tech. And of course, mankind, especially the male mind, has always been obsessed with just the best. What's the best? Best car, fastest car, better motorcycle, better anything.
Yeah.
Yes, that's without a doubt.
Do you think, though, Ben, that learning, and obviously for you too, Caleb, but learning how to control as best as you can those older fixtures and things like that, and still getting better at it, makes our lives so much easier when we're picking up the tools that are available right now?
Man, yes, of course it does.
100%.
I go back to, and I go back to, we mentioned this quite a lot about learning to, not from lighting, but learning to expose a camera properly. In that, I kind of cut my teeth shooting on Fuji Velvia. That was my first professional gig. I was shooting on medium format Velvia, which has a dynamic range of, I can't remember how many stops, 4, something,
right.
like nothing. So you got to learn how to control the light that's coming into that camera, because and then when we have all these tools and we have all this dynamic range on sensors now, that's great, but I can still having that knowledge and of having had to work around the deficiencies in the technology that we had. And the same with the lighting, what you were talking about, the camera image festival, which I'm not even sure if it's going ahead this year, but it's around this time of year. It's in November in Poland. Like, not this year, but another year. You got to go. It's brilliant. But you get Roger Deakins showing up and doing a whole day lighting workshop with 3 redheads, nothing else.
Right.
Right now, that stuff's just golden. You learn so much about that. The stuff that I love and the stuff that's got me more excited about work. I don't know if you two are the same. A new piece of technology comes out, you read all the reviews, you make the decision to buy the thing, you're all completely excited, obsessed with the thing, and then the thing finally arrives, and then 10 minutes after I've turned it on, had a quick play with it, I'm over it again already. That's kind of not it doesn't last. Whereas when I go to a conference or to something like Camera Image, and you're doing those workshops, or we come on and I'm helping you out with your workshops at NAB, that kind of stuff, like just the amount that you pick up from those things, but not just pick up, even if it's just reinforcing knowledge that you already have, the excitement that gives you and the drive to do something, and you've just seen the way someone else does something that you know completely what they've done. It's not like it's reinventing the wheel, but you've just seen this other way of doing something, or there's just someone's lit something so beautifully in a slightly different way that you would have done it, and that gets me so fired up, so excited. So that's why this year's been such a horror, because you're not being able to do any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Honestly, NAB, that week at NAB, I come back more fired up about work after that week. I mean, partly it's because we get to hang out and we have fun, and you just generally are in a happier mood, but you just get inspired by that stuff. Technology doesn't do that. New toys don't do that.
No,
So
it's conversations and yeah. I
and I
think
don't know
that one
about
of
the
the
two
best.
of you.
What? No, go ahead.
A quick question on that front. See, I find that there's a huge amount of online content obviously being produced this year that's in place of these physical sort of training sessions that we would be normally doing, or these workshops. But I find I really struggle with that way of learning things. I think and I don't know what it is, but I really struggle to sit down for hour on end in front of a computer watching training videos and stuff. I don't feel like I absorb stuff, or even if I absorb stuff, it doesn't fire me up to the same degree as when you go on workshops, when you physically go somewhere and you're with people that are inspiring and that you're learning this stuff. It doesn't have the same effect on me. I don't know if it's the same for you two.
Similar. I mean, I've had a subscription to Masterclass for 2+ years, and I get into a groove and I watch some stuff and I get some inspiration, and there's amazing people on there, but then I just, it's just not a consistent part of my schedule and what I do. So there's great information there, but it's just not the same. I do like limitations. I think the older I get, the more I like it. I think the Barbarian, by the way, you're up there with Small Brown Fox and Grumpy Penguin now, the Barbarian, ridiculous name. I am fascinated by the creatives that create limits for themselves, such as shooting everything with a single lens or shooting with only cell phones. And I think that one of the things that you have to learn is your tech and your craft, but the creativity of it can sometimes, and the craft, like where does something go in order to get an end result, can come from doing things like just taking still photographs. Getting a still camera, it can be a digital camera, and putting a 23 millimeter or a 35 millimeter lens on that, and just shooting everything with that lens. Because there's still so many creative options, and even if all you're doing is shooting stills, you're paying attention to light, you're paying attention to aperture because you're thinking about depth of field. You're really thinking about where you are in terms of spatially your relationship to things. And I have found that the more I now shoot on prime lenses rather than zoom lenses, the more confidence I'm gaining in terms of why I'm choosing a particular focal length. I realized that there was like a hole in my knowledge about a year or two ago where I just felt like I was relying upon a zoom lens too much. and I was limiting myself in terms of understanding why I would choose a particular focal length, even if that was in relationship to a particular sensor size. And the more I've been shooting with primes with my Fuji camera, the more I feel like I have confidence now that I'm going to choose a particular focal length based on the size of the space that I'm in and the type of shot that I want to get. And I think that's also part of both tech and craft. You know, it's not necessarily creativity because you're executing something in terms of a vision, but that's helped me, I think, tremendously. I don't know.
I would recommend that, particularly for if you're doing photography for fun. You're doing this not on a gig, but you're doing this just to keep yourself sharp, or you're doing it just for hobby. I never take it. It's always one lens with me. If I'm doing stuff for fun, I'm just doing photography for the sake of going out and taking nice stuff. Normally a 35, but then you know what it is? It takes you out of thinking about that stuff, and all you're thinking about is composing stuff.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
you're
it.
thinking about the depth of field and exposure and stuff, but essentially, you're all you're concentrating on then is framing and moving around, and you take the camera away from your face and you look at the scene, because with a zoom lens, you tend to just go, oh, is this, yeah, that's better. No, it's whereas if you go right, where am I going to get the frame? How am I going to compose the image? If I move this way a little bit, this way a little bit, and it forces you to move. And it's so good for just keeping you sharp and keeping and those skills that you then go back into your filmmaking.
1,000,000%.
It's a huge thing. I never ever, like if I travel, that's it. I take one body, a 35mm lens, nothing else. That's it.
And you know what you could do is you could take that a step further, and if you're in a location, bring 3 lenses with you, 23 or 24, whatever it's going to be, 21 or 23. Bring a 35 and bring a 50, and each day you go out, choose a different lens. Don't put 3 lenses in your bag. Just choose one lens.
Yeah.
And shoot for the whole day with that focal length. And I guarantee you, it's rapid knowledge, right? They talk about the 1,000 hours or the 10. What is it? 10,000 hours? I don't know what it is. I've definitely hit that at some point. Or something.
10,000.
Yeah. But there's a certain point where when we talk about tech and craft and creativity, that you start to hit milestones. And you have almost a rapid learning capability, right? Because you can say, okay, I want to now try something. And instead of going out for a month with that lens, you can go out for a day or two. And you can absorb what it is that you're going to get out of that. And then that just becomes knowledge you can apply, into your in the future. But you have to do it. You can't just theorize it. You can't just think about it. You actually, the doing this part of it is so important to internalizing and being able to just then, like you said, Caleb, problem solve. Because now you're like, okay, if I need it's this sensor and this, and they want that, I'm going to choose a 50, or something like that.
Yeah. There's a comment here from Sam Corner. First of all, Bart, welcome. Good to see you, man.
Yeah, good to see you, Bart.
He feels like he hasn't been in a while. Sam Corner says, timed film competitions, 24-hour, 54-hour, 7-day, etc., have been great for pursuing creativity. No time to think about tech, just make something. And that made me think of, I won't name them, and if you're watching, you know who you are. I have a lot of friends who love the idea of, they have a lot they could give a community or the filmmaking community, and they would like to do a YouTube channel, but obviously it's a big leap to go from, doing production to also doing that.
Yeah.
But something I've like when kids come up to me or teenagers or whatever who are like, YouTube, oh my goodness. And parents then turn around and be like, is this like for real, or is this like just a waste of time? Because most of the reactions I get is like, what do you do for a living? And I tell them, they're like, you can make money from that. It's always the second response. But I tell them, especially parents of kids who want to get into it, that I think everyone in their lifetime, and I know this is a big statement, everyone in their lifetime should try, or at least for a while, be a YouTuber or create YouTube videos, because nothing negative is going to come from that. You're either going to grow a thicker skin from comments, or there's so many great positive things that come from it. And pick a schedule and stick with it, like one video a week. you know, one video every other week, whatever it is, because you have to make something. And if it turns into something amazing, you can quit your job and become a full-time YouTuber. If it doesn't, you walk away with so many positive things, more discipline, more knowledge, better time management. There's nothing negative that's going to come from that. Even if you quit, you know, not saying you have to keep going with it, but I tell people all the time, I think everyone should try it. So it's free. You can create an account and start making videos. And I think it kind of goes along with what Sam was saying there. When you have a schedule that you have to make something, there's so many weeks where I have to pull a video out of thin air, you know, because I can't finish other ones that I don't have supplies for, or I need more time on. And that's an amazing discipline, I think, to be able to like, okay,
Yeah.
I've got nothing, but I have to make a video that doesn't suck in 2 days. And the more your channel grows, the higher that pressure is.
Yep.
And man, I mean, you've all been there. You've been there where you've got a project that comes in last minute, or let's say the location or talent or whatever completely falls through, and you have to completely, literally pull a project out of your butt
Yep.
to deliver something.
Yep.
And it's got to be good. That's so good for you, you know?
Yeah. I think that Sky's last comment is rings true to me, and probably a lot of people. So many personal projects just fall apart for me because in my mind it needs to be so amazing. I have to kind of just let go and just do it, and the creativity starts to flow. That is the hump, right? That's the thing to get over. You know, that's very hard. I think it's also important to, you know, to find something, if you are going to do it, that you're going to be passionate about for the long term. I mean, you can do the exercise that you're talking about, Caleb, which I think is fantastic, but at least try from the beginning to choose something that you're going to be interested in creating content around on a regular basis. You may find out you don't like to, but I think you've got to try to pick something that's not just I want to talk about this week, and then, you know, and then you don't know what you're going to continue to talk about. There has to be a little bit of a plan, I think. And I'm guilty of.
I think for me, I find the way my discipline comes and the way my brain works when I'm working for a client, my sort of psyche is that for that time when I am billing a client, they own me. So if I'm on the clock for that client, I'm not taking personal calls. I'm grafting, and that's that. When it's something for me, fucking hopeless. Cannot, you know, I'll start something, it'll get put on the back.
But you are Irish.
Honestly. Even before I was Irish, this was the thing. So I honestly, like, my self-discipline and what you were saying is really bad. So what I find is good to get into that same mindset as sort of commissioned work, I suppose, for personal projects and that stuff, is working with other people, because then there's a responsibility on me to them, and then that's fine. And then I'm back into that same mindset that I am for a client. Like,
yeah,
I've committed to do something. If I commit to do something to somebody else, then absolutely that gets done, no question. For my own stuff, it's the same. I have this documentary that I'm desperate to make, really want to do it, and I just need to get on with it. But I'm waiting for stuff to be just so until I've got more time to can dedicate a whole month to getting, and it just doesn't happen. And it's time sensitive. Like, I can't this thing isn't going to hang around. So it's I need to get, but I've already made the decision. What I need is to find a partner to do it with, and therefore,
yeah. That's like when we started. That's like when I was younger, and my wife and I got married, and we were like, we're not going to have kids until we're totally secure in life and everything's set up and we have the perfect plan. And one day we just woke up and we just said, fuck it. And we just said, let's have a kid. and then here we are with 3 kids. And I'm not saying that's the right plan. I'm not saying do that. But at a certain point, you kind of have to just bite the bullet and, get on with it, I think, and see where it takes you. because that's part of the fun of it is the whole journey of figuring things out. And if you're constantly thinking about how it has to be perfect, you won't create anything. And we know that that's part of the bane of our existence. You know, you said nothing negative will come out of doing what you're doing except for the comments and what happens. The people who are negative, who are, you know, who troll in the real way, like the real trolls, they're not doers. You know, they read the specs, they understand what the camera is capable of from a white paper standpoint. But most to all of them who are incredibly negative, they don't do the craft. They don't do the artistic or creative side of it. They're not problem solvers. They're just interested in what the next thing is, and they want to be a loud voice, and they want to be opinionated about it. And that doesn't do anybody any good for the community. That only has it has a negative effect in terms of, you know, in certain things. But it's true, I think. The non-doers. F the non-doers. Get to work, kids.
And Jem, have you seen what you started? There's going to be
what?
The trouble at 360 is now going to be causing
what?
because of you. Have you read his comment? Tomorrow at the company, I'll ask all the girls who want to have a baby with me. Let's do it. That's from you. That's your fault.
Hey, come on, kids.
I'm
well down.
360.
He's
been pretty PG or even G for a while. So
what's going on?
We haven't had almost block comments in a while.
Yeah.
Oh man.
That feature doesn't exist in Ecamm yet. Yeah.
Yeah. To Ben's comment, I'm the same way with personal stuff. Forget about it. Granted, the business is kind of personal stuff, but not really. I'm stuck within one lane.
That's how you're earning the
essentially
money.
If I want revenue, this is where I'm working out of. But there's all kinds of stuff I'd love to do videos on that are super not video related, like keycaps for your keyboard, just dorky stuff like that. But that's how I got started, was putting stuff up on YouTube. Because I'm sure you guys remember when it was a novelty and like super advanced to be able to upload HD video to the internet and watch it back in HD.
Oh, of course.
Like on Vimeo. Remember when that was like, hell yeah, 1080p,
Caleb,
not I.
Where I live, to get a 1080 stream to come off at 1080, like I'm still excited if that happens. That's still a rare thing for me here.
Nice. But at a time, ladies and gentlemen, like, remember the first time you shot 4K and zoomed in and you were like, oh my goodness, this is 4K. I'm doing 4K right now. That's what 1080 was, especially uploading to the internet. So I uploaded a couple of videos just for kicks and because I could, and I was just getting into doing that. And people started asking questions. And this was on Vimeo back when Vimeo was awesome and not awful for multiple reasons.
Don't even get me started.
No, let's not go there. And there was a small group of people who started communicating together. And that's the whole reason I'm here. If it weren't for those 5 to 10 people, so you were mentioning personal projects, and you know, that's what I love about YouTube is like, throw crap out there. If it doesn't work out, delete it. If it works out, great. But like, what's the pressure? You know, it's all free, and most people aren't watching to begin with anyway. That's the beauty of starting. Anyway, I thought that when you were going back to like why do it, I thought it just reminded me of those days, uploading to Vimeo and seeing that little 1080p tag and how excited I was for that.
Do you know why I'm excited, Caleb? I'm excited because we started talking when you were a younger man, and that's when we started our dialogue with each other. And you made a comment today about the kids, and when you talked about the kids, you meant the teenagers and the young adults. I feel like you've crossed over, You're coming to hang out with the
Oh boy.
You're in the grown-up club now. Not that you weren't grown up. You're still
I'm
the
at the
golden
big
child.
table.
You're still.
I'm not at the collapsible folding table over in the corner at Thanksgiving eating chicken.
Yeah, we got the wood table. It's like it's got real legs, and you're in a real chair, and
actual glass, not a red solo cup or some kitty cup.
You're drinking something that costs more than 30 cents a glass. I just, I really appreciate. I mean, I appreciate both of you very, very much. But the fact that that we've all known each other for so many years, but it was a long time ago that we started chatting. Caleb, it was really like, if we look at it now, it was a long time ago, and I'm proud of you, kid. That's all I gotta say.
Oh,
I'm proud of you.
Seth, I remember that dinner at Lotus of Siam, 2013, 12, 13, when the three of us were at that table where what's his face famous person sat.
Oh,
and I think it was just the three of us.
No, Dan was
Belushi.
Oh,
yeah,
but
Belushi.
Dan was there too.
Yeah.
And that's when
the Chunginator. The Chunginator.
Because Jem started.
Dan
like,
Fakos.
Yo, you wanna?
Dan Fakos. Yeah.
Jem is the reason I go to NAB now, because I think you were like, yo, you want to help me with this thing, and I'm like, sure. And then my in-laws were like, hey, drive our car up. We have a house there now.
Amazing.
I'm like, sure.
Yeah.
And NAB every year.
It's beautiful. Well, here we are.
Same.
And then we have
this time next year, October. We'll be back.
Oh yeah, I'll go. I mean, look, if I don't have,
I know, man.
Here's the deal. I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
If I don't have to wear a mask on an airplane, and I don't have to wear a mask in Vegas, I'm not getting on that plane, and I'm going anywhere if the mask is part of the equation. It's not that I.
Really?
You understand? Yeah. I think so.
Okay, I'm gonna say something. This does not reflect on Jem Schofield, but I'm just saying, the requirements for a mask are pretty loose these days. Are you seeing the stuff people are getting away with?
That's true.
Yes. Like I see people all the day wearing a bandana.
Oh, so you wait?
When they talk, it goes like this. And that's okay.
Are you,
that's
so you saying? Are you saying that if that's okay, then we should just do it? I don't know what that means, but
all I'm saying is the cover, the face covering.
Yes, covering.
Is a
I know.
Wide spectrum.
It is.
You've got
really
the
is.
fully sealed into your cheeks. There's red marks when you take it off. All the way down
bubble.
to. The other day, I'm going to be honest, I had to go grocery shopping, and I used a lightning cable and a Kleenex to make a mask, because my wife took the last one. I've got a picture. I'll send it to you.
That's amazing.
Let me just say,
if you've just come into this conversation, you've just heard I've just used, there's no context for this, and you've just said I've used a lightning cable and a Kleenex. This isn't like a Michael Hutchins moment. We were talking about face covering.
Michael Hutchins, where the hell did that come from? Oh my goodness!
Groceries. Mission critical, and I went in there with a lightning cable and a Kleenex, and
possibly the best comment tonight.
It passed the test.
I mean, from the Barbarian, that's amazing, Caleb. That's a choice comment right there. Let me just tell you.
There you go.
What I'm saying is I don't want to get on an airplane and have to wear a mask. I don't want to have to hang out with my friends with a mask is really what I'm saying. I want to socialize. I want to see you guys and give you a hug.
Drink.
Yeah,
okay.
Same.
Yeah.
I'm not coming and worrying about it. I don't want to come and be thinking about that stuff. I want to just come out.
I might just show up 2 weeks early, and we can just party for 2 weeks, and then we'll be like, okay, fine, that's it. That. Yeah, me too.
That'd be amazing. And then
Beautiful.
apparently,
I've had this
Rabbit Tribble saying Vegas is currently number 2 in infections. I thought it was generally number 1 for infections, but then I realized he's talking Corona, I guess.
He was talking pre-Corona. It was number 1 for infections.
Yeah, exactly.
Now it's number 2. Yeah. Da-doom. Unbelievable.
Here a week. Try the veal.
I think it's digressing now. I think we should wind this thing down with a minute left. Oh, my God, right. Shazam. Wait, I thought you already bought that C200, Shazam. You were on the early buy list. You were like first pre-order. I'm confused. Ridiculous. Shazam's been ordering this C200 for like 3 weeks. I appreciate it, but let's get going, kid. Come on. Let's buy it. It's time. Wait, you were buying a C200? I thought you bought a... Oh, no, it was a C70 that you were buying as an early buyer. Okay. All right. I'm tracking.
All right. So it's 1 minute to. Time to wrap up, gentlemen, and me to go to bed, you to get to your families, or do whatever it is that you got to do. Good fun chat as always. Thank you all so much in the chat for getting involved, hanging out. It's really good. The pubs are shutting down again here, so I think before long. So again, this is back to being this really weekly little bit of relief of having a drink with friends and talking shit. It's great. I love it. Can't wait till next week to see you all again. Thank you very much. Final words, gents.
Congratulations, Ben, on being a newly and again appointed member of the European Union. And make sure you have a trip to Ireland in your future so you can really take the whole thing in.
I spent a lot of time in Ireland. I have an awful lot of family in Ireland. I've been meaning to do this for years, aside from Brexit, for sentimental reasons. So, as soon as all this shit calms down and we can go back to Vegas, I'm also going to Ireland on the way. It's kind of
beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah, that's it.
Lovely. Geez. Keep backup masks in your car for the moment your wife takes them and doesn't return them. And then you don't
and a lightning cable and a
lightning
Kleenex.
cable and a Kleenex.
There's so many things.
Amazing.
There's so many things wrong with everything that you just said.
Unless you have already very white teeth, because it hurts like a mother. That's all. That's it. Jem, Ben, wrap it up.
Love you guys. It's time to click on the finish button. We're out. See ya. Yeah. Bye, kids.
All right. Good night, all.
Oh my goodness.